Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in! Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons & Dragons, and welcome to the channel that takes power gaming to the next level. Today on the Doctor Spell Prognosis, we are talking about the spell Heal, a must-have for clerics, and a spell that does exactly what it is supposed to do. So we're giving this spell an A- because I would like to give this a higher grade, but it is only usable by clerics and druids, and it is only a single target spell. But again, it's a single target spell that's kind of an upgrade from Cure Wounds and Healing Word from the first level options. Those are both single target spells. This one is kind of a bump up on both of those, as it does more healing, and it also does it as a range. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. All right, so let's take a look at the spell. It is a 6th level spell that is usable by clerics and druids. It is one action. It does have a range of 60 feet, which is a great thing. So things like Cure Wounds do not have a range, whereas Healing Word does have a range, but Healing Word is also a bonus action. Doesn't do as much healing, so it's kind of that, yes, I need to do something to get somebody up, and, this is kind of an emergency. But this one is a range of 60 feet. Verbal and somatic components, which is great. So you choose a creature you can see within range. A surge of positive energy washes through the creature, causing it to regain 70 hit points. So by the time the characters are 11th level, when you are casting this spell, 70 hit points is about, for like the fighter types and things like that, it's going to be about 75% of their hit points. For everybody else, it's going to be at least 90% or more of their hit points. So it does bring back quite a bit, and it is a spell that is going to be a difference maker for a party. So the spell also ends blindness, deafness, and any diseases affecting the targets, which are kind of generic restorations. It's not, it's not the same as some of the restoration spells. So if we look at the restoration spells like Lesser Restoration ends blind, deafness, paralysis, poisoned, and one disease. So this does blindness, deafness, and a disease in any diseases, whereas Lesser Restoration only does one disease. Now, if we go to and that's a Lesser Restoration is a 2nd level spell. If we go to Greater Restoration, this one ends, so it reduces the exhaustion level by 1, and it ends one effect that's a charm or petrify. And to my knowledge, this is the only spell so far that we've talked about that ends petrify. It earns a curse, including curse of magic items, reduction in target's ability scores, and reduces the target's hit point maximum, and it costs money to use. This doesn't cost any money. So there's a little added extra benefit. It's going to bring back most of your hit points, not all of them. It's going to end blindness, deafness, and disease. And of course, the spell has no effect on constructs or undead. And then you can upcast this spell for a little bit of extra oomph. Not sure if it's worth it to upcast it, as it's only a bump of 10 hit points per level above 6th level. We haven't really gotten into the 7th level, 8th level, or 9th level spells. I had one of my players who's very familiar with a lot of the cleric spells tell me today that he didn't feel that the 7th level or higher spells for clerics were very much in line. So we'll have to see when we get to that. And we'll come back and compare this spell to those. Now, because I did say that this was in line with other power level of other kind of healing spells, it's the only 6th level healing spell that we have in the game, if you look at the healing tag that is there. But it does fall in line with an equivalence of what we're seeing as far as the power level goes. 5th level spell is 3d8 plus your spellcasting modifier, and then it's an extra d8 if you upcast it. This one does all creatures in a 30-foot radius. We've already talked about it. This one does and it's a 30-foot radius at a 60-foot range. This one's a 60-foot range. It does one creature, but it does way more hit points, way more. And of course, it is a big bump up from Cure Light Wounds and Healing Word and Mass Healing Word. If you were to cast Cure Wounds at 6th level, you would get 68 plus your spellcasting modifier, which is about 31 hit points. This does twice as many. So it definitely is the spell that you want to choose if you really want that. But remember, you gotta use it wisely, because if somebody's only down by like 30 hit points, then you're going to kind of waste some of the healing that comes off of this. Now, which classes are good for the use of this one? Obviously, Life Domain Clerics are great. You get the bump anytime that you restore hit points. Creature gains 2 plus the spell's level. So now this spell doesn't give 70 points. It gives 78 points because of the Disciple of Life ability. And that's anytime you use it infinite, which is awesome. So now it's 78 points. But again, you got to be careful when you use this, because you might actually give it out to somebody who, isn't down that much. Now, that is relative to what they're down, because you could have somebody who has 70 hit points that's down 35, which means they're down 50%. So you might want to cast it at that point. Later on, you get the Blessed Healer, which heals you in addition to creatures. And of course, if you took a couple of levels in Druid, just a couple, you get the Starry form and you get the Chalice form. And whenever you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points, you or another creature within 30 feet can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. So again, this does 70. And if you were a Life Domain Cleric, it would do 78. And then you could hit them for another 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier, which should be a +4 at that point. So for about another 8. So really 86 points of healing if you wanted to just kind of max out all the healing that you could possibly get. My opinions for DMs using this, at the level that the players are for encounters for this, it might make an enemy last another round at the most. Players at this level can dish out tons of hit points and damage. Tons. They got a Gloomstalker, Assassin, Rogue in the party. There's all kinds of damage, especially if they've got some feats that go on top of that. Then they're dealing all kinds of damage out. The fighters are dealing a bunch of damage. The paladins at this level with the Divine Smites are dealing all kinds of damage. So it may not be worth it for the enemies and their choices to use this. Personally, I think that healing enemies or healing encounter creatures is not necessarily worth the effort unless you're going to have something that can heal close to all of the creature's hit points. And then that makes it more of a threat to the party, especially at this level. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.